So I was lucky enough to go to the Triumph Trident launch a few weeks back, but it was all a bit mysterious, wasn't it, with that prototype with the all-white finish. Obviously a lot of people had questions about the bike, so today I thought I'd go through the most common questions and comments from that video and try and answer them to the best of my knowledge. But before we get started, if you're new here and you want to see more videos like this, latest motorcycle news, rumours, specs, then please do remember to hit subscribe. First question's from Maxim Ignatiuk. I wonder if Triumph will also make speed stripple motor in this Neo Retro package. I mean, they were pretty clear about the fact that it was just that bike they were launching. There were no other bikes planned for the sort of Trident range. But I do get what you're saying. If this bike is intended to compete with the CB650R, and they were very explicit about that bike being the main competitor for the Trident, then I can see how a larger capacity version would make a good competitor for the CB1000R. You know, it's a great shout, but I don't think there are any plans beyond the one bike right now. James Darnell says 75 or 80 horsepower from a 650 at an entry-level price point? I don't think so. I think they'll keep the horsepower equal to the 900cc Street Twin, so about 65 horsepower. This also matches the Kawasaki Z650. I think I'd have to disagree on this one, and I think I've even perhaps underestimated how much power this bike could have. If you look at that old 675 Street Triple, it made over 100 horsepower, so it could well even challenge the CB650R for the most powerful bike in this segment of the market. I mean, it's all TBC, but personally I just don't think there's any chance it'll have as low as 65 horsepower. That'll be the least powerful bike in the market, and it'll be pretty hard to break into it if you're coming with a underpowered bike. As for the comparison with the Street Twin, I mean, that's built for torque, that engine. It's the high torque variant of the Bonneville Twin. So I don't think the power figures are that relevant to this bike. It's a triple. It's going to be built to spin up and have a bit more top-end power. Next one's from Steve Febvre. I think I've said that right. There's currently very much a desire for back-to-basics motorcycles, of which it feels like Royal Enfield is leading the charge. And Steve's not wrong there. I think the Interceptor last month or the month before was the best-selling bike in the UK, or at least it had the most new registrations, beating the 1250 GS, which is quite something. I like this new motorcycle from Triumph. It's a baby street triple with a little less of everything. In an already flooded market for this genre of machine, it's brave of Triumph to chance their arm in the current financial climate, especially with Royal Enfield currently destroying the competition in the heritage arena. I still believe Triumph are missing a trick by not building a good old-fashioned single thumper. I'm not sure this bike's really going head-to-head with the Enfields. They're more competitors for the modern classics, but I take your point, they're doing a great job at the moment. I also agree that, you know, it's good to see Triumph launching a new bike right now. It has been a long time in the making, pre-COVID, but still, more new bikes is great if you like looking at new motorcycles. I also like the fact that they do put out more affordable versions as well. So the Street Triple dropped in price, I think, this year, the cheapest model. You know, they still make the very basic model of the Tiger 900, which is much cheaper than the high-tech versions. And then bringing this bike in as well, it'll almost certainly be the most affordable triple in their range when it does hit the market. And so while you do have criticisms of like the Bond Scrambler being however many, I think it was like 15 grand or something, maybe more than that, you know, they still are catering for bikers who don't want all the flashy stuff, who don't want all the tech and just want a decent bike with good mechanicals. As for the single cylinder, I mean, I don't know, that would be expensive probably to develop a whole new engine, and although I quite enjoyed a couple of singles that I've ridden recently, so the 390 Adventure and the Vitpillen 701, I really enjoyed that bike as well. But you know, they do vibe a lot and they are a bit unrefined, so I think it's unlikely Triumph will go down that route. Veal On commented saying, I hope it's a really lightweight. 90 horsepower can be a lot of fun on a lighter bike. Totally true. I mean, you only have to look at the RS660 from Aprilia. That looks like it's going to be a slender bike, and it's I think it's about 100 horsepower. So that looks like a lot of fun. More bikes like that, I think personally, are more fun on the road. You don't need much more than 100 horsepower, especially if it's a slim little machine. And the roads we have around here, they're not big sweeping alpine bends. So 100 horses, plenty enough. As for the weight of this bike, I mean, the MT-07's the one to beat. Its dry weight is around 165 kilograms. And I think, you know, the Street Triple, that's about 160 kilograms dry as well. So Triumph can make bikes that weigh that much. You know, the Trident should be able to compete with the MT-07. It just depends, I suppose, if it's built to a price, whether they can keep it lightweight. Dan Boo asks, have you heard anything about accessories like bags and windscreens, etc.? Now, normally they do include a lot of information about what accessories are available in the press conferences, in the press releases. In fact, quite often if you go to a press conference, there'll be a few of the accessories on hand for you to have a look at and sort of pick up and that kind of thing. But this bike was still a prototype, so they weren't ready to announce that kind of thing yet. I do believe that the unveiling should be coming pretty soon because I'm booked to go on the launch trip in the first week in December, I think. So COVID allowing, hopefully that'll happen and I'll have a lot more detail about the Trident and the accessories when we do get to hear more about it in the proper press conferences about the actual final production bike. That said, if you go on the kind of configurator on the Triumph website and look at the Street Triple accessories, you can get a tail pack, you can get a tank bag, you can get a little deflector that goes on top of the fly screen. But for this bike, I don't know if I'd be expecting, you know, full-on panniers and a massive touring screen. Carlos H says, at last a single round headlight on a modern Triumph Roadster. I would have had one on my new Speed Triple if it had been available. I found this move away from the twin headlights interesting as well. You know, every modern bike in the range, all the triples, so the Tiger, the Rocket, the Street Triple, the Speed Triple, it's a signature design feature of modern Triumphs. But they are divisive, much like Carlos is saying there. He would have changed it for a single headlight if he had had the option. There are some aftermarket manufacturers, I think MOTOBOB make a conversion kit for Street Triples and Speed Triples. But personally, I quite like the twin headlights. Something like the Rocket, the new Tiger, I think it's nicely done. It's still kind of twin headlights, but very modern. And I'd say the same even for the new Street Triple with those frowny DRLs across the top. Really like the look of all those bikes, but I get it, they're not for everybody. I think in the case of the Trident though, you know, if they'd have kept the twin headlights and it had been styled more closely to the Street Triple, it might have just felt a bit like a, you know, budget, watered down version. It's its own thing with this new design style that they've got for it. And so I think the single round headlight helps to position it somewhere between the modern triples and the modern classic range, the Bonnevilles. In fact, that's what Honda have done so well with the current range of CBs. There are some little features like the round headlight that kind of reference older style bikes, but they also have some nice modern angles to them as well. The next question is from SL Mara, and he says he really likes the design direction of the Trident and some of the features of it, but why not a Bonneville engine in it? This question came up a few times. You know, if it's somewhat retro, then why not a Bonneville engine? I don't know what kind of bike that would result in. It'd be a bit like a Speed Twin, I suppose, but with a monoshock and upside down forks. It might look quite cool. In fact, there's a guy on Instagram who mocks up his own ideas for like custom bikes, and I've seen a couple of times he's put a sort of modern race style bike with a monoshock but with a Bonneville engine, and it does look awesome. But I think realistically there are so many bikes in the modern classic range that are powered with the Bonneville twin that I don't know if it really makes sense to put out another bike with that engine. To me, this is actually more interesting to see another triple but with a different design style. Tim Yunwaban says it looks sick. It would be very cool if they brought it out in all white. Again, this was a comment that I had a few times. Some people really liked that entirely matte white finish for this prototype bike. Absolutely zero chance of anything that looks like that hitting the market, I reckon. And also, after 10 minutes of owning it, I think you'd be sick of cleaning it. Luis Gomez asks here, do you think Triumph could go in the direction of BMW and also have a Trident XR in the now very popular sport tourer segment, like the MT-07 and the Tracer 700, or the CB650R, and then there was the CB650X concept at EICMA last year. I'm not sure if that's going into production, but potentially. Anyway, Lewis's idea is, you know, a Trident X. As I said at the beginning with the suggestion with regards to the Speed Triple powered Trident, there was no inkling of any other bikes, just the one Trident. That said, I do like the idea of a smaller capacity Tiger. A lot of adventure bike riders are asking for smaller, lighter, simpler versions of the big bikes, and that's why the Tenere 700, for example, has sold so well. There's also that partnership with Bajaj, the Indian motorcycle manufacturer, that Triumph announced last year, where they said that they're going to make some mid-capacity bikes together. Whether one of those will be a smaller capacity Tiger, I'm not sure, but hopefully we'll find out out more about that project in due course. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video today. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, if you're new here and you want to see more videos like this, hit subscribe and I'll catch you next time.